Hello guys, what's going on? It's Brandon from Tech Weekly. In this episode of Tech Weekly, I'll be talking to you about gold nanomesh that may lead to truly bendable electronics, a real-time Google Glass app that can identify people using facial recognition, prescription Google Glass that will cost over $1,700, and Army to replace 25% of soldiers with robots by 2030. As always, the links to these stories will be left in the description below. Google nanomesh that may lead to truly bendable electronics. For the past few years, bendy electronics have become a new trend. It may seem like sci-fi, but phones that roll up and fit in your pocket and televisions that you can fold up and carry to your friend's house are that much closer to becoming reality, thanks to new discovery by a team of scientists at the University of Houston. These researchers figured out that by using a gold nanomesh material, they can create the perfect surface for electronics, one that is flexible, conductive, and transparent all at once. Although there has been talk about bendable smartphones and even bendable batteries, no one has been able to create a material for a truly flexible electronic that allows for rolling, folding, and easy carrying. In fact, no one has been able to create something that has all three ideal features of such devices: flexibility, conductivity, and transparency. However, the Houston team took gold nanowires and created a mesh material. This material was then embedded on a transparent polymer. Gold is more ideal than previously tested metals such as silver and copper, as it doesn't oxidize easily, giving it better overall long-term conductivity. To test this material, the scientists stretched it to up to 160%. The nanomesh material only lost a small portion of conductivity when stretched to its limit, but that conductivity returned when it snapped back to its original form. Although some smartphone manufacturers are working on flexible models of their devices, they aren't really fully flexible and they cannot be stretched. I think that this new discovery, however, means that future models could be both flexible as well as transparent. With the size of smartphones increasing to nearly tablet size, models that can roll up or be folded into a pocket-sized square would be welcome additions to the technological market. Our first quick story. Don Nguyen, creator of Flappy Birds, has tweeted plans to take Flappy Birds down. It's nothing related to legal issues, he clarified. I cannot keep it anymore. He did not offer an exact reason for his plans to pull Flappy Bird down, but he dismissed the idea of selling Flappy Birds and asked that such questions not be sent to him. Our second quick story is that Valve has added a new space to the front page of Steam, in the hopes of offering a better at-a-glance view of recently updated games. The recently updated section not only highlights patched games, but those that have just received DLC or new features entirely. Developers can choose when their update is highlighted in this section, thanks to new developers tools available alongside the recently updated portal's rollout. This is an especially useful feature for constantly changing early access games and mitigates the need to hunt down patch notes on developer sites or in the Steam community forums. There's even a page to specifically list updates for your Steam library. Last year, Valve announced plans to better integrate Steam into the living room. This initiative includes custom plug-and-play Steam machines built by third-party manufacturers running on a custom version of Linux called Steam OS. Each Steam box custom ships with Valve's own Steam controller. A real-time Google Glass app that can ID people using facial recognition. I'll leave the link to this story in the description below so that you guys can read more about it. Okay, proving that fan affection for Resident Evil is as undying as the franchise's hordes of shambling corpses, Capcom has announced that the high-definition remake of Resident Evil Revelations has surpassed over 1 million total sales. A review of Revelations, a console and PC remake of the original 3DS game, describes it as a successful F-middling port. Resident Evil fans will want to see the story and will forgive the design flaws and wacky dialogue. For everyone else, the game doesn't hold the HD spotlight well. This was a quality handheld title, but on a larger screen it falls into the middle of the pack. A post of Capcom Unity announced the sales numbers. Just a quick little pat on the back for RE Revelations. The console PC versions have passed the 1 million mark in worldwide sales and are currently sitting pretty at 1.1 million overall. As we reported earlier, both Dead Rising and Monster Hunter 4 have passed the million shipped and sold marks respectively. Prescription Google Glass will cost over 1725 US. Guys, I think that this is crazy. I would prefer to wear my Ray-Bans, my prescription Ray-Bans, and walk around with my iPhone than have to buy a Google Glass for $1,725. But that's just my opinion. You guys can do what you want. So I'll leave the link to this crazy story in the description as well, and also on the screen right now. Okay, the army is to replace 25% of soldiers with robots by 2030. The US Army has recently declared that it is cutting troop levels. Over the next 16 years, each and every brigade in the Army will see its soldier count drop from 4,000 to 3,000, with robots making up for the loss in firepower. That's according to General Robert Cohn, who said robot soldiers levels will reach their new peak between 2030 and 2040 during an Army Aviation Symposium last week. The scope of General Cohn's announcement is even more sweeping than you might suppose. Soldiers currently work in 9-man squads, the smallest effective unit size generally deployed. Vehicles and infrastructure are constructed with these basic troop units in mind, so altering this group mechanic to either include robot members or entire squads of mechanical soldiers would be a massive undertaking from an infrastructure point of view. That being said, there are already a robot for almost every job in the armed forces. Drones provide air support while robotic mini-tanks patrol streets. Tiny insect-sized robots, helicopters provide intel, and robotic medics and first responders are on the horizon. Smart rifles can even take their place of snipers. Guys, I think that this is a crazy thing. It reminds me of the movie I, Robot that I think Will Smith starred in, but I think that is crazy. Continuing anyway. Even the human soldiers deploying alongside the robots will be outfitted with robotic exoskeletons. So from a certain point of perspective, 25% reduction in manpower by 2030 could almost be viewed as a conservative estimate. The reason behind all this robotic warmongering might not be the Skynet reference you'd be right to expect at this point. Human soldiers cost a ton of money, reminds General Cohn. Caring for those whose tour of services over actually made up a quarter of the total defense budget last year. So while a robot might cost you an arm and a leg, it won't bill you for treatment for decades after it loses one of its own. Given the circumstances, the human soldiers might have a lot to be thankful for when their robotic squad mates report for duty. Thanks for tuning in to this week of Tech Weekly. Be sure to watch the show next week for some crazy tech and gaming news. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, Tech Weekly. Peace, guys.